People of the world. Hello and welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 210. So many episodes, all the episodes. You are in for a treat. Oh, yes. Yes, you are. Did you know that our guest today is 20 years old? 20! And he owns a digital marketing agency with 10 clients. Do you have any idea how rare that is? It's ridiculous. So the question, of course, is how in God's name do you balance all of that? How do you not legally drink, mind you, can't get into a bar, and yet you've got 10 clients? The road ahead for our guest today, Luke Hyde, is going to be a very interesting one. We've got the psychological impacts of doing all of this. There's the financial impacts. There's how your peers perceive you and how you move through this space. Truly, I tell you, I am beyond impressed and very excited to welcome to the show the one, the only Luke Hyde.
Thank you for that intro, Kellen. I really appreciate it. That was humbling. I appreciate it.
Let's go. All right. So you have 10 clients, the vineyard, barber, dentist, this sort of vibes, right? These people are older than you. And they're coming to you and they're saying, oh, maybe this kid knows something. Maybe he does. Maybe I should give him a shot. Why don't we, I know he's young, so there's only so much experience you can have. I'm aware of that. This is their mental process as they engage with you, and then eventually you convince them. How are you doing that?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that it's definitely not easy. It was definitely harder when I first got started. But I think, in today's day and age, being a young person growing up with technology, I try to use that as my, as a strong suit as much as I can, because when people, when I'm talking to them about these things, a lot of times it's over their head, but they kind of are just like, oh, well, he's young, he's grown up with this stuff, so he must kind of know what he's talking about, like with social media.
So would you argue that it gives you an edge? Or do you use it to your advantage? Do you lead with it? Do you go, hey, look, man, I'm in college. I'm a full-time student. Do you understand that? Great. Or is it something you kind of like go, I hope they don't ask, and then I'll get to it eventually?
I definitely wouldn't say that I start out with it. However, I'm not afraid of it either. I just, especially the thing with the college thing, I don't want people to think that I'm like too busy to work with them or something like that, because I'm definitely not, this is my full-time thing. So I definitely, I don't say it right away. However, if they ask me it, I'm totally open about it. And I think it does kind of give me an edge. I'll kind of give you a funny example. I remember I was actually doing a video shoot for a website that we were designing. We were doing a video, and the owner of this manufacturing company that we were taking the video at, he looked at me and was like, are you even old enough to drive? And then the more I was talking to him, I was talking to him and everything. And then later on, he was like, hey, I'm sorry about that joke earlier. No, I wasn't trying to offend you or anything. And I was like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I think, the more people get to talking to me, the more they, don't care about the age thing or anything like that.
And then, when I look at you, I don't see a 20-year-old, to be honest, like just judging your appearance. And you're lucky that you don't have a high voice either. That wouldn't help either. So you have a little bit of like a tenor to your voice, and that's helpful too, because then people are sort of like, So, all right. So here's a possibility for you. Okay. So we're going to actually go to the future before we go to the past on this one. The lessons that you're learning now as such a young entrepreneur are like, so there's something called fossilization, okay, in language. And it occurs around like 14, 15, 16. If you don't start learning a language natively by that time, people will always know that you're a second language learner. You will always say some words a little bit differently. The way you will phrase those words is different. And there are people that are depressed because they're like, oh, there's nothing I can do. I can never be known as like like a native of that particular land. Okay, so that's language. Now, business is a little bit different. I would say as you get older, most people really start to get those business chops like maybe mid to late 30s, 40s. That's kind of when they're like, you know what, I've worked for someone long enough. I've judged them. I don't think they're doing a great job. I can do better than them. I don't want to work for them anymore. I know the steady paycheck isn't worth it to me anymore. I want autonomy. They go through the whole song and dance. And then they launch the business. Then they make that big change. So for you, it's almost like you're that and to put in a language perspective, you're like you have the ability now, if you really grind through this, to be a native fluent business person. Do you think you're going to give up?
No, definitely not. I don't know exactly where I'm going to take, my agency in 10 years. That's a question I get a lot. Oh, Luke, where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years or something? And I'll be honest, I don't really have a solid answer. However, I do know that I want to stay with business. I know that I want to make a really big positive impact on the world. Right now, I'm doing that by helping small businesses with their marketing. I don't know exactly where it's going to go from there, but I 100% do not see myself giving up in any
at this point
form
you're
or fashion.
feeling well. Not to mention, you can't say that you want to give up. So maybe there is you can't. And this is part of the leadership experience, which is you're on a live show, right? This is going to be recorded for all of history, whatever. There's that whole thing. And so you're not allowed to. Right. And so I'm just going to let you know that I know that you're struggling. And I'll let you, the other thing too, is that the business owners know that too. But here's the thing about capitalism. Nobody cares at the end of the day. It's like what matters. Well, they care, but what matters is whether or not you get results. Struggle or no struggle. Like nobody cares if Michael Jordan's tired. I mean, they sort of care. They're like, fine. Or LeBron, that he got a leg cramp. They sort of care. But at the end of the day, there's this outcome that everyone is looking for. And if you can provide that outcome, it's sort of just whatever. Everyone puts their hands up and says, So for you to dive in at this point, full-time school, your mental health is my primary concern, right? Is your ability to move through this space. So I need to better understand you. So in order to do that, let's go back. Okay. So you are 0 years old. You're incarnated on planet Earth. Your soul descends from the heavens and embodies in this particular incarnation. Where is that?
St. Clair Shores, Michigan.
All right. So you're in Michigan. So that's like work ethic. It's cold. Everyone's like going to grind it out. There's that whole thing. Are both your parents in the house?
Yes.
Okay. So is it like white picket fence? Everything is fantastic all the time? Or was there drama?
Honestly, there really wasn't much drama. My dad had a pretty good job actually in like an advertising agency. He was doing he was a creative director for like TV commercials and everything.
All right.
Which kind of can go into a little bit of what I'm doing. But eventually what happened was he actually got laid off in 2008 when everything happened. And since then he's been a freelance graphic designer.
Okay. So
yeah.
just that. Okay. So I was raised by 2 teachers. I became a teacher first. Right. I mean, come on, man. Like when you're growing up, you're looking at people, you're looking at what they're doing, you get a sense. And the fact that he transitioned into the freelance bit is very telling too, because you're essentially freelancing. Aren't you? I mean, like an agency, it's kind of like that, right? You're taking on these clients and they're doing the work. So was he working from home? Did you get to watch him work?
Yeah, no, he did. And I helped him with a couple, again, even, just because I was young and I knew some of these things when I was, maybe like 15, 16, I was helping him with a couple things just because I thought it was fun. So like I said, he does a lot more like graphic design and everything, but seeing what he was doing, in the beginning, I was like, oh, what I'm doing is very different. I'm doing online marketing. But as I've gotten older and I've done it more, I've seen like, oh, how that has kind of, probably pushed me a little bit in the direction that I am right now.
Yeah. All right. So I can see your father's influence on you for sure. What kind of grades you getting? Are you Mr. Straight A or A's and B's? Where are you at?
I was, yeah, I was actually the salutatorian of my class. So
What the heck is a salutatorian?
that's second. So the valedictorian is the first highest grade, and
Uh,
I got second.
does
So
that just drive you crazy that you got second? Does that make you
not
nuts?
really. No, I was happy with it. I had already kind of started doing my marketing thing at that point. So school, and that's kind of an interesting perspective that I think that I have because I transitioned from being a very, thinking school was everything and, getting straight A's, doing really good with class, but not knowing what I wanted to do with that schooling. I didn't know if I wanted to be an engineer or if I wanted to be a doctor, but people were like telling me, oh, you're smart, so you should go down that path. So I was really just doing good in school for the sake of doing good in school. And then once I found out about online marketing, my whole kind of perspective has kind of shifted. And still in college, I still get good grades. I still have like a 4.0, I think, but this semester it's going to go down a little bit because I put a little bit more time into my business and I've kind of put my priorities a little bit differently. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sorry college, but the value of it, if you got the skills that Luke has, are just not as great as they used to be. Sorry, like when I look at resumes, I would way rather see a portfolio of WordPress websites or Google ad campaigns or blogs they've written than a 4-year
yeah.
degree. I don't care. So how much of this would you say is money motivated? Are you I mean, because 10 clients, that's pretty good, and if it's just you, I mean, can I ask how much these guys are paying, guys and gals?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on what we're doing. Maybe typical like starter website package, like basic one might be $2,000, $3,000. Right now I have something specifically crafted for lawyers that we're doing that's working pretty good. It's called the
Mm-hmm.
claim method. And right now I charge anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 for that. And that's like ad spend included.
Is that
And
per month?
that's per month.
Mm-hmm. And then your vendors, how much of the work are they doing versus how much of the work you're doing?
Um, I'd say, so you mean like people helping me out with fulfillment and
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah.
Right now, I'd say about maybe 40%. It depends on the project, honestly.
Yeah.
Some of them it'll be more like, I have one really strong SEO fulfillment partner that does pretty much like 80% of the work and I do 20%. But then the profit margins are still like 50-50. But
Mhm.
then for other things, like for advertising campaigns, I like to do those a little bit more closely. And the people that are working with me don't charge as much. So it's closer to maybe like 40-60 or something like that. So it does kind of depend.
Okay. And what's preventing you from hiring an actual like W-2 employee? Is that a path you'll ever go down, do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely want to. I definitely want to do that. But you know, I guess it's really just a matter of figuring out which role to go down first. So I mean, maybe like right now, I am in the process of hiring like a prospecting team to help me acquire new clients. But
Yep.
they're like another agency, and the reason I'm going with that is just because I know that they have really good results. They're in like a business group that I'm in, so I know that I can get good results from. However, I'll probably eventually bring in somebody who does all of the prospecting for me. And then the
Mm.
same thing with sales. Like I'm doing all the sales right now, but eventually I do probably want to try and hire out a salesperson. And then, the fulfillment again, is another kind of like another agency that's helping me with some of the fulfillment, but I do want to bring that in. So I guess it's just a matter of, um, honestly, it's just a matter, I'd say, of what really kind of comes first. That's really the biggest thing that I'm trying this year. Again, because I am so young and I do have like just an overall lack of business experience. I've been doing this for like 2 years. However, maybe there's other people who are starting an agency and they've been a part of an agency for so long, so they already know how things
Mhm.
work. I'm still kind of figuring things out.
Yeah, I get that, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. So let's say that revenue continues to increase, and you're starting to feel the pressure, and you're like, I want like a W-2 legit employee. You go down that path. You got someone on payroll, and you start growing from there, is there any chance that you're not going to finish college and that you're just going to go, you know what? I need to focus full time on the business. Have you ever had that thought ever crossed your mind?
No, it definitely has. I was fortunate enough to because I did so good in school, I actually got like a full ride scholarship to go to college. So I'm not paying anything for it. So it's kind of just like a backup plan for me. And I only have, again, during high school, I got a lot of college classes done. So I actually even though I've been to school for only 2 years, I only have like a year and a half or only 1 year left. So I'll probably end up finishing it. However, that thought's definitely crossed my mind.
Yeah. So, okay. How much of all right, we're going back. You're 5 years old, right? You can barely talk. Do you gravitate towards people? Are you like a people person, or are you like grabbing a book and chilling inside? Like, where's your happy place as a young kid?
You know, I definitely think, kind of to tie it in with my parents, I think I kind of have a little, I do consider myself a pretty well-rounded person, because I was really a big fan of reading. For example, I loved reading. I actually did self-publish a couple fantasy novels when I was like in middle school.
Let's go.
So that was kind of cool. But I did really like hanging out with friends and doing things. I definitely wouldn't say that I was like the most social person ever, like a total social butterfly, but I definitely wasn't just somebody who would sit and read books all the time. I would say I was pretty well-rounded, kind of in the middle.
Mm-hmm. And was it from the moment you started the academic career where it was just obvious that just A's were just going to be what it was?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know where this comes from. However, I do think I have a certain sense of wanting to win. I definitely consider myself a very driven person. So I feel like getting straight A's was my idea of like winning, basically. We would have tests in school. I remember, I forget what they were called, but like you would get a certain score at the end. And I just remember, in the beginning, I just happened to get higher scores than everybody. But when I was younger, I didn't really understand what that meant. But I was like, oh, that's cool. I got a higher score. And then, eventually I was like, I would just keep getting higher scores. And I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. Just my thought of winning. So that kind of drove me, again, because it wasn't like I knew that I needed to do well in school to have a good career as a doctor, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But kind of also, it was funny before you were talking before in our pre-meeting about getting kicked and punched in the face as a young entrepreneur. I actually was in the martial arts for like 18 years. So
Let's go.
For 15 years, I should say. So from when I was 3 years old until I was 18 years old, I was doing karate, aikido, modernist, a lot of different stuff. So I was actually getting punched and kicked in the face a lot of times. But that was the same thing. I was very passionate. I was very good at doing that. I won a lot of trophies and everything. And I have kind of translated that over into business. I want to be successful in business again, because again, it's just, getting more clients is a sense of winning per se. However, I wouldn't say that's like, yeah, I would say that's a little bit more of like a selfish goal. However, I really do want to have a positive impact on the world. I'm not just saying that because I'm on a live podcast. I really, the happiest moments are for me aren't when I get paid from a client, but when I can get like a video testimonial of them saying I did a good job. That's my favorite part. Like for this winery, for example. I was great getting the money to work with them. However, afterwards, when I got to meet them in person. They gave me they gave me a video testimonial, and it was that was really cool. I love doing that, and I want to do that on a bigger scale, really. So,
yeah, no, that's wonderful. I mean, that's such a great perspective. I'm reminded of the martial arts. I've done martial arts my entire life. And there is a parallel for sure between the fight that is a martial art, and also, it's for defense, clearly. And then there's a spiritual component to learning martial arts that is somewhat talked about, but not always. Self-control is so incredibly important. Patience, when you do get kicked or punched, there's something that my good friend Han and I would talk about, chi rising, we would say. So we'd be doing something called push hands, where you stand opposite to each other and you both have to stand flat or with your feet on the ground. And the first person to take a step when the other person doesn't wins. So it's a game. It's like a wrestling game. And so you're pushing whatever. And there are things you can do that are just very irritating to your opponent, right? You can just kind of lift in a certain way, push a little, whatever. And then we'd always poke fun. We'd be like, oh, chi rising, chi rising. And then the tension fills the body. And the more the tension fills the body, the more the arms act like wooden planks as opposed to like soft bending branches. And the more plank-like they are, the easier it is to move them because they're giving you all these points of leverage. You can throw them around. So we'd always laugh and go, chi rising, chi rising. And you guys relax into it, relax into it. And to me, business is just like that. It's, clients are going to do stuff that are going to cause you to tense up. You're going to have problems that are going to cause you to tense up. You're going to take gut punches. You're going to get slapped in the face. It's going to be this. I mean, it's so funny to me that everyone assumes that it's an intelligence thing. They go, oh, you must be so smart. Okay. Yeah, well, yes, this plays into it. Okay. Intelligence matters, like having experience matters, but there is an emotional fortitude required to deal with clients' need to grow their business, right? They've got folks on payroll. They're not stupid, right? They want to grow their business. You're also launching through a pandemic, right? So you've got pandemic fear, you've got all that. And so you have to have not only the intelligence, which you clearly have, but also a resilience and a patience that you can't buy. So would you say that the martial arts had a piece in that patience puzzle? Like what keeps you calm? Because clients aren't always sending you nice testimonial videos, right? You don't wake up every day to a nice testimonial video. You wake up to what's the conversion rate? Have you lost a client?
Yeah, no, I definitely have. I definitely, especially in the beginning, a lot of times it wasn't too many like dissatisfied people. It was just, hey, this isn't working as well as I'd hoped, especially with COVID. I mean, that's definitely the biggest reason. Them just saying, hey, I don't have the budget anymore. I need to be saving for something else. But no, I would 100% say that the martial arts has given me a multitude of skills that are easily translatable into the business world. And honestly, I would be, if there was some way to see into an alternate dimension of Luke Hyde and see if he wasn't doing martial arts, how would he be doing business or would he even be in business? I don't know. But yeah, no, I think having, a lot of it too, I think is like confidence, I think was a big thing that the martial arts gave me, performing in tournaments and everything. And since I was so passionate about those, I think that definitely helped with my confidence, which obviously helps with, getting clients. And then I think, like you said, patience and just being respectful. There's a lot of things that I feel like people who don't know that much about the martial arts don't really understand comes with it, because there really are a lot of kind of like intangible things that you can get from it that are definitely translatable into the business world that I use every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So people out there, I mean, it's never too late to start. You might go, I'm 40, I've never done it before. But trust me, dude, every 4:30, I've got people coming out because we do martial arts in the park, and they've never really hit a pad before, and they cannot stop smiling. They're like, oh, it's that. This like so cathartic. Just the simple act of just, and then I'm kind of coming at them and like, and literally some of the reactions of some of my students reminds me of how some entrepreneurs react when they have no experience, right? So I'm holding the punching pads, right? And they're kind of punching. And then I'll just do a little one of these, right? I'll just come in little, whatever. And they'll scream. They're like, ah! It's like breathe. And just getting them used to just, this kind of distance. And then you look at like Conor McGregor, and a dude will come in with just a strong right, and he'll literally just this much, and it comes to his nose, and then he's right back in. So how comfortable you are with that amount of force and pressure coming at you, and understanding the distance of it and what's really effective in terms of what's going to hurt you and slipping and all that stuff. Not to mention the day before a martial arts tournament, that's coming. It's not like you're going to bed going like, oh, it's just another day. No, like you're thinking about it, you're visualizing, you're doing like the whole song and dance, mentally preparing yourself. And businesses, I mean, selling clients, doing all this stuff is the exact same thing. It's like, got a big meeting tomorrow, especially if it's in the morning. Like if you got a 7:30 a.m. meeting, like you're going to bed going, yeah. So it's a lot. And so for those of you that are out there thinking about hiring a marketing agency, this is why we do this show in part, is that like, it's an interview. Right, Luke? And so like people are learning a lot about you as we move through this. They're learning about the grades, they're learning about the martial arts, they're learning about, and to me, advertising in 2021 is more of this, more of let's really get to understand the person behind the brand. Because we got time, podcast in the car, you're working, you start on the background, you have to like hang on every word, but you just get a sense, and then you can make a good judgment call. So 10:56, but let's pull it back one more time. And then we're going to have you pitch and, just tell the folks about why they should hire you and do all that stuff. But, so big martial arts kid, it sounds like the home life was pretty stable. That is not always the case when I talk to folks. Let's get an answer to this question. What were your parents pressuring you to get the good grades? Was it an external thing or was it purely internal?
It was, honestly, purely internal, which I feel like helped me, honestly. Yeah, no, my parents were 100% supportive of everything that I did. And they were always giving me positive reinforcement, oh, Luke, that's great that you did a good job. No matter how small it was, hey, I got an A on this picture assignment, or, I got 100% on my final exam. They always gave me good support. But it wasn't like, hey, Luke, if you don't get an A on this grade, we're not going to, pay for you to go out with your friends or something dumb like that. So that was something, I'm definitely grateful for them for. And I think that, honestly helped.
Yeah, that's how I treat my kids. I am Mr. Positive Reinforcement. And I really do think it works. All right. So 10:57, now it's time for selfish capitalism. Luke, just tell the folks why they should hire you, where they can reach out to do exactly that.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're interested in learning more about our agency, so we are a full service online marketing agency. We do website design, search engine optimization, online advertising, but we do work mainly with just small local businesses. And you can go visit us at drivedigitalads.com to learn more. Or if you're more interested in maybe not hiring a marketing agency, but you want to learn more about marketing yourself and you're maybe not sure where to start, you can actually visit lukehyde.com to learn more about my program that I have called the Small Business Digital Roadmap. And this program is actually designed for small businesses who maybe don't have the time or the budget to hire a marketing agency, but they still know that online marketing is important. So it's like a 6-module program where you can learn basically everything you need to know to get started. And we have a full kind of exclusive Facebook community where you can ask questions as you go through the program. And it's really trying to build a community of small businesses there who want to grow using digital marketing. So again, that's Luke Hyde. And if you ever do want to find me anywhere, you can pretty much go LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram at Luke Hyde Digital.
Yeah, Luke. I think that you as you move throughout these circles and do this, continue to do these podcasts and stuff, you're going to get a lot of praise. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be a pretty constant source for you of people just really impressed by what you're doing. I, of course, count myself among those folks. And so I hope that you can take everything you've learned, take all those lessons and create the next level of really solid work environment. Right. So when you grow your business and you have folks entering into the team, creating this really strong culture, because if I had to guess, that's what I would guess is next for you. And then the difficulty of learning how to fire people, is a big one. That's one of those big hurdles that you got it, because you're like, I'm gonna have the best company culture ever. It's gonna be amazing. You're like, I'm gonna hire. When you interview people, people are amazing interviewers. Like you're just like, wow, this is the most amazing person I've ever met in my entire life. And then it's just the nature of owning a business. You're gonna hire people, you're gonna fire people. It's just what it is. And so that's what I hope for you and pray for you, is that that you can nail that skill, get really comfortable in that role, because once you master that skill, then you're really scalable. I would argue that scalability is exactly what you described, which is that kind of like 4.0, doing a great job. That part right there is actually relatively easy, I would say. For me, the real challenge is, like employees have lives, man. You know what I mean? Like people get diagnosed with cancer. There's heart issues. There's kids being born. There's deaths in the family. There's all this stuff, and navigating that, and just really using that martial arts skill that you learn, that patience, that sort of, the gut punch isn't always client related. Something can happen to an employee, and you're responsible for their livelihood, and working with them through those times, and all that stuff. That's some high level leadership stuff. And that's, a couple years, maybe a year, 6 months, you know what I mean? Before that starts, for you. So, I'm always here for you, dude. If you ever want to talk about any sort of, whatever, owning an agency, that sort of deal, I'm here. So let's stay in touch. Let's stay in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Marketing as a Foreign Language for whatever day it is, Monday, the 19th of April, 2021. Can you believe it? Our guest today, Luke Hyde, clearly an inspiring man. Final word, Luke.
You touched on it earlier, but I definitely think the biggest thing is to just really get started, whether it's getting started with hiring a marketing company or getting started with just online marketing, definitely do that. Or if you want to get started with trying to run your own online marketing agency, or do anything kind of as a side hustle passion project, there's no time like the present, and you're not going to get anything done if you just keep worrying about all the bad things that are going to happen, or you're too young or you're too old or whatever. Just really, jump in, get started, and that's really the only way you're going to be able to kind of make things happen.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you